Lundy, thank you so much for being here today. God bless you and your family. How are you, sir?
Bro, I'm fantastic. How are you? Are you kidding me?
Glenn, I'm doing
I
great,
get
man.
to hang out with you and Nate Forrest, Sarah McCord, Tara Murney, like all these people, man. Are you kidding me? I am absolutely fantastic, my man.
Yes. Tara's been here for sure for a while with us, so she sends you her warm greetings.
She's
But Glenn, I wanted to
one in a trillion, brother. One in a trillion.
indeed, I wanted to bring you, Glenn, to the Smart Hustle community, Glenn. I've followed this journey you've been on for the last several months. You've been doing it for 4 years, and I just wanted to introduce you to the Smart Hustle community because I've been bringing people to the Breakfast with Champions. Glenn, what's it like to build a brand new media company where there's 80 or so influencers and hosts pouring into people? Can you just talk to us about what that journey's been and why you're building it and why people should care?
I think it's kind of like getting married, getting divorced, having a putting together building a new home and moving across the country all at the same time, man. It's the craziest up and down roller coaster I've ever experienced in my entire life, ever, Ramon. It's nuts, man. I wouldn't wish this on nobody. Not a single person would I wish this on. With that said, it's one of the most impactful things I've ever done in my life and my career. And we are on a mission to help people change the way they start their day. I firmly believe that for the last 70 years, at least, since the early 1950s, the way that people have woken up has been a series of programming, right? News is on from 5 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock in the morning. And it's always violence and politics and racism and all of these things, right? And so I think it's time that humanity have a safe place that they can go first thing in the morning, a place where they can get motivation, education, and inspiration, a place where they can get access to information that they wouldn't get anywhere else, access to thought leaders, to experts, to incredible entrepreneurs and business owners and celebrities and influencers and all of those things. And so we are on a mission to change the way people start their day and ultimately help them become the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. And along that mission, of course, we want to make sure that people feel seen, heard, and significant, right, Ramon?
Yes.
I think right now, that's a big problem that we've got going on. My partner, Sarah McCord, she talked about it earlier, how the social media spaces have been really siloed and it's created a lot of division. People are just lining up with those that they agree with.
Right.
And there is no growth in agreement. As a matter of fact, it causes constant separation and division the more we hang out with those that we 100% agree with. And so Breakfast with Champions is our opportunity to change the narrative, to move things forward in a new and positive way, and to help people feel seen, heard, and significant, like I said earlier. But we do that through, like, it's from the inside out, Ramon.
Yes.
It's one thing to be seen on your Instagram page with your filters and your makeup and so on and so forth. But we want people to know that there's a seed that was planted inside them, that they matter, that their life has value and it has worth. And it's not about a picture. It's not about a Lamborghini. It's not about any of those things. We want to see people for who they are, where they are, and do everything that we can to elevate them.
No, and you're doing a very good job at it, Glenn, for sure. Is there any concern, Glenn, as you build Breakfast with Champions, that there's too much positivity? Meaning, we get comedy shows, but the news of the day is it doesn't say donuts were delivered safely. Doesn't say politician didn't steal money. It's awesome, Britney Spears and okay, is Michael Jackson dead or not? You get what I mean. So do you find that there's too much positivity and excitement, and now we want to go back to hearing that man bit dog?
Man, there was this guy a long time ago. They wrote a book about him, but ultimately the most popular human in the history of the planet, and the most impactful human in the history of the planet. The book that they wrote about him has sold 3.6 billion copies globally, which, to give you an idea, a comparison, the second best-selling book of all time is the Harry Potter series, coming in at about 700 million, which is a phenomenal job. It's nothing compared to 3.6 billion, right? So if you've never read that book, it's a book called the Bible, and it's about this guy, Jesus. And Jesus literally shifted the trajectory of the world and all of humanity through a message of hope and love. So to me, there's no such thing as too much positivity. There's no such thing as too much encouragement. There's no such thing as too much love, right? That's all that's all positivity is. It's a version of love. It's a energetic component of love. People have a hard time with that word love, though, right? So we say just be positive, but really what we mean is love one another, you know. And so what you touched on is actually the problem. The problem is that the headlines are always negative. Words have power, man. Words have power. And so it's real simple, Ramon. Like, it's real simple. If I were a scientist and I was going to do a test to get to a particular result, right? Or maybe I'm a ClickFunnels expert and I want an A/B test. I want an A/B test, right? I would look at these tests and I would say, okay, we've done this, A, B, C, D, E, and the result is the whole freaking world's on fire.
Yes.
So how about we don't do that, A, B, C, D, E, because it clearly doesn't work. It clearly has not brought us together. It is divided more than united, right? It is separated. The wealth gap is the largest it's ever been in history. There are people with mental disorders, depression, anxiety. I mean, we are such an unhealthy species in this period of time, right? So clearly the formula we've been running with doesn't work. It doesn't work. So just like our ClickFunnels A/B test, if you ain't getting conversions, you don't just double down on that, right? You get rid of it and you figure out what works. And what works is if people can start their day with a solid foundation. I'm not saying news isn't important.
Sure.
I'm not saying being abreast of what's going on isn't important. I'm not saying having discussions about these issues that are going on in the world are not important. It's the exact opposite. But do we really need to be gang banging on bacon, Ramon? It's 6 a.m.
Bacon.
I mean, come on, get a solid foundation first. One filled with gratitude, with positivity, with love and encouragement. And then that way, when the storms come later, we've got solid foundation. And if we could literally flip humanity upside down on that, it would change everything, man. It would change everything.
No, I think you're right. How did you feel, Glenn, when you were in Lexington, Kentucky? We were at the Grow from God conference together, and so many people I saw and I imagine they were coming up to you just appreciating the positivity. Because now, arguing against what I just said, it seems like people need it. Either people were either lonely or they're looking for an outlet. They wanted people like to touch and hug and want to be around people. How does that feel, Glenn, to see that vision? And I guess my question is, your dedication started 4 years ago in a closet, part of Rise and Grind, and now it's this. How does that feel to have people coming up to you and you're realizing, Glenn wasn't wrong, that people do need this. They need it. How does that feel, Glenn?
It feels heavy, Ramon. Friday we did the last episode of Rise and Grind. We celebrated this weekend in Lexington, Kentucky, with hundreds of people.
Sure. And
there were tears, and there was laughter, and there was just this energetic magic that existed, across the 3 days. And halfway through the second day, halfway through Saturday, this guy named Grant Cardone swung by. And made a little visit. And right after he left, my son went on the stage, and my son sang, is that the right word? Sang. My son sang a beautiful song, right? Yes. And so basically we flew Grant Cardone in to open for my son.
Yes.
Right? And my son is such a spiritual person, and when he sang, I think everybody could feel it, right? We could
Absolutely.
feel the presence of something bigger than self, whatever that looks like. And in that moment, as soon as he got done, I realized, like, dude, what we're doing matters.
Yeah.
And it's not a hobby, it's not just something fun. Like, this is war, bro. This is war. It is an all-out war that is going on around this planet, and there are lives at stake. And so before, it was kind of like, all right, we're doing the thing, we've been doing the rise and grind thing, and that's been impactful and it's changed people's lives and that's fun. But all of a sudden I just felt the weight of, like, okay, wait a minute,
Mm.
this is serious, and we've been called now. At this point, we've been led to lead the charge, right? It's almost like, if you're I was never in the military, shout out to all my military folks.
Sure.
My entire family was military except for me. But it's almost like if you were, in the military, and you're
Mhm.
you're, you're hanging out with your buddies in the at boot camp, or wherever it is, right?
Yes.
You're stationed somewhere and you guys are playing pinochle or whatever the heck it is. I just aged myself with
Yeah,
pinochle.
that's all. I know the name.
Right? You're playing spades or whatever it is that you're doing, and then all of a sudden you get the call, and they say, "Hey, we're shipping you over right now. Jump on the plane. We got to go over to Iraq. They're murdering small children and women,
Mm.
and we got to go in and do something about it." And so that's what that moment felt like to me. Is it felt like all of a sudden we've been activated. We went from reserves to active troops, and there's a lot of weight that comes with that. But it is exactly what I've asked God to do for me for the last 7 years. I said, God, lead my steps. Allow me to be a soldier in the fight. And so, yes, it's awesome. Yes, it was fun. I loved
Mm.
seeing you. I loved the
Sure.
dancing on the stages. I loved every single aspect of it. Um, but we've got work to do, my friend. We've got great work to do. And so it's a combination of joy and exhilaration, as well as very, very, very heavy weight and responsibility.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can feel that for sure. And I'm curious, Glenn, as well. How do you see yourself? Throughout history, there's elected officials. They are what they are. Many are good, I'm sure. There's spiritual people, right? Mother Teresa or others who are the spiritual mantle, like a mission and a calling like that. Then you have civil rights leaders, right, who've done there for a time as this, and they have one particular mission. Anywhere, maybe you haven't thought about it, but have you thought about it where Glenn fits in? Is it a celebrity personality, a business person who just happens to want to do a show, or is it? I know it's a mission for sure. You've said that, but where do you see yourself, or is it something new? If that makes sense.
I see myself waking up every single day and asking God what He wants me to do.
Mm.
If He wants me to, in a season, run out and be a spiritual leader, then that's what I'll do. If He wants me to be a celebrity on television, I'll be a celebrity on television. If He wants me to be a politician, I'll ask Him 5 times if He's really sure that that's what He wants. But I'll do whatever He says. I really hate politics,
Yes.
but so far, every time He's given me direction, I've in the past, decade of my life,
Sure.
every time that He's given me direction, I've responded with yes, sir. And it's always ended up right. Right. So as far as putting anything into a box, I have my own visions, dreams, and ideas and plans of what could be and where we could go, and so on and so forth. And I'll move in those directions. But ultimately I leave it to Him. And I don't believe our God should be put in a box. And I'm not interested in putting myself in a box either. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I think you're right. You're open to the spirit and whatever needs to be done. But clearly, Breakfast with Champions is a vehicle. I've seen it working for the last several months. First met you in July, I believe it was, and definitely it's impacting thousands and thousands and thousands of
And
people.
Ramon, that's what's great, man. I want to say this real quick. I'm
Mm.
sorry to interrupt
Please,
you.
no,
Uh,
please.
I don't want anybody to misunderstand the direction of Breakfast with Champions, and the direction and the whatever word I'm looking for, but we know where Breakfast with
The
Champions
focus.
is going,
Mm.
right? That lane has been illuminated. We understand that path. Uh, Glenn Lundy himself, what I am so grateful for is for the last 4 years, this has kind of been a solo mission where Glenn was showing up and doing the show every day. And I had a group of people around me that was fighting with me, right? But it was kind of like a solo mission. Whereas now we have Breakfast with Champions, which is this massive collaboration
Yes.
of just incredible humans, right? And so I am in a position where I get to step back and say, maybe Glenn ends up on TV, maybe Glenn ends up in an office, maybe Glenn ends up wherever. But Breakfast with Champions trajectory, that's what I'm looking for, Regina. Breakfast with Champions is heading into the space of 14 billion earlobes that exist around the planet. Breakfast with Champions is going to continue to lead and dominate in the areas of all things audible, right? And if you can listen to it, if you've got ears, then we're going to end up in those ears wherever that is around the planet globally, so that we can really whisper into the ears of people and let them know that, hey, we see you, we hear you, you are significant, you are a child of God, right? So I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding there. It's not like Glenn's going to wake up tomorrow and say, oh, Breakfast with Champions, no more. I'm running over in this direction. No, I've been given the opportunity now to stay more in flow with that path because I have so many powerful, powerful people around me in the Breakfast with Champions world that can make sure this ship right here is going in the direction that it's meant to.